Savannah,
Yes.
make another draw the cup.
Yes. Yeah, so we're gonna draw this cup. Sorry?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So this is no paint, just charcoal or pencil. I think it might take us 2 classes depending on how things go. So today we're gonna start with the outline and see if we can get started on the actual shading.
So can you move that picture so I can take a picture, please?
Oh yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'll leave it on the side here so you can use it as a reference throughout the drawing.
I didn't take a picture yet because it's
okay, sorry.
Can you move a little left, please?
Yeah, I'll get out of the picture.
Savannah, can you please move your tablet or your phone to the left-hand side, please, a little more?
Like that?
Yeah, thank you so much.
No worries.
So can you tell me which, I only have watercolor paper, those, and the sketch. So which one I should use?
Sketch paper.
Sketch. Okay, thank you.
Yes, no worries. So I'm gonna use my sketchbook here. I will use just maybe the bottom half of my sheet. So whatever you see on the screen. And so I have a special tool that makes drawing easier, but you don't need it, of course. You can use a pencil, maybe a ruler, or I don't know, I have this little wooden stick. Sometimes I use it. And basically what I do is, if let's say you're looking at this screen and you see this, and you just want to transfer it exactly. So I kind of measure left to right how big it is, and then transfer it over here. So that's how I do the outline. So let's get started. So I grab your pencil. If you have only one, I think in the package it was the HB. So let's use that one. If you have many in your case, so you use an HB pencil. And the special thing I use, I think it's called a proportionate divider. It's just this special thing where if you have a picture that is smaller and you want to make it bigger, you just measure here and transfer it over here. I'm just gonna use it like a ruler here, so you don't need anything special really. Like I've said before, always look at the picture more than what you look at your own drawing. So I think this is a good size for me. So I will try to copy it just about the same size. So I measured the width and I kind of, maybe I want to make it a little bit bigger here. There we go. So I measured the width. So, and I placed the 2 dots. So the beginning is just placing dots to see roughly where things are, how wide, how tall. And so how tall, I'm just gonna measure from the top to the very bottom of the plate. Not the shadow, but the plate. And I compare. So left to right is just a little bit shorter than top to bottom. So I compare. Left to right is just a little bit shorter. And actually mine left to right is bigger than my top to bottom. So that means that I need to fix it. I know this part, the very beginning, is always harder. But if you take your time, your final drawing will look nicer. About here. So I have my rough reference or guideline. So I'm gonna make this oval here first. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just making a quick sketch first before we go into detail. So I'm just gonna move things around so I can draw more easily. And I'll look at the angle. And so from the top to the bottom here, it's about this. So I just transfer it here. So from this corner here to where the cup starts. Now, how tall is the cup? Actually, let's start with how tall is this little oval here. So I'm measuring from where the yellow starts to my finger. About this big. Mine is just a little bit too big, so I'll fix it in a bit. And then from top, the top to where the cup starts. Just transfer it over here. Right now, you're making lines with very light pressure because most of these lines will get erased after. This is just our basic outline. I don't know what happened there. Okay, and so I'm happy with my angles here. And now, so from the bottom here to the table, I guess, it's very dark, but it's about here. It's the same width as our top oval here. Oh, sorry, I think the iPad just restarted. I will just show you. It'll take a few minutes, but in the meantime, I can just show you on my phone here. So whenever we're doing the very first sketch, the main thing is that you wanna make sure your proportions are correct. So the width, is it too big or too small compared to the actual height? Okay, there we go. We'll use this until the iPad restarts. Okay. I'm just gonna move my camera. Oh. So I have my, sorry, we were saying that this is the same as down here. So the base of the plate starts about here. And now from my upper corner right here, how long is it from the plate to here? So it's about 2.5 times, or this width is 2.5 times what is here. If what I'm saying doesn't really make sense, doesn't it, like, don't, it doesn't really matter. But if you can understand what I'm saying and how I take the proportions, it'll make it easier for you to get a good proportion a little bit faster. And so from here, same distance, whatever is here, I just transfer it to the right. And if you look at the bottom here, my line should be just a bit higher. So this is my line here. Yeah, maybe this looks okay. You don't have to make this line here, but it just helps me kind of imagine the shape of the plate. And then it goes down like this. This is flat. And then our shadow. This is our shadow. Sorry, that's too late. You know, it's hard with the reflections. Okay, so I'm just gonna erase a few lines that I don't need, and it can get confusing here. So this side is very, very round. I'm gonna fix this side. The other side as well. So and the top is very flat, this top line here. It's just the corners here that are very round. And okay, let's indicate that this line right here, this is going to be mostly with our shadows and highlights, but so we don't forget, we can just make an indication here. This will be dark. There's a highlight right here. And now let's draw the ear here. So remember, if you are looking more at your drawing than the picture, you need to look more like at the picture that you took. Your hand will follow what your eyes see. So the ear has one circle inside that we can see all the way through to the other side. But that's actually part of a bigger circle. If you're having trouble with the circles, just keep drawing them until you get a nicer shape, and then erase the lines that you don't need. Now it can look strange initially, just the outline. I'm just gonna zoom in here so you can really see the shape. So there's a smaller circle right here that we can see through what's behind. If you look at the entire border here, this is another circle enclosing this one right here. So that's what we're drawing. The bigger circle with the smaller one inside. And then I think that's our very basic shape. I'm gonna now start adding the borders here. So right now I just have a line, but if you see it's a thick border here. So we're just gonna do that. And so first I make sure my circle or my oval, my shape is nice and even here. And I'm happy with the shape and the size. And actually I'm happy with most of it. The only thing I think the base here is a lot smaller. Okay, and I'm gonna add an inner oval here. So the left and right edges here are a bit thicker. Erase the lines I don't need. Same for my plate. I'm gonna draw, so right now, it's very rough, my lines here. So I'm just gonna draw one line and then erase whatever I don't need for my plate. So it's nice and clean. I'm able to see exactly the edge of the plate here. So I have a clean straight line, or not straight, but simple line. So I erase my previous sketches. And now I'm gonna do the other line. I know it's hard to see on the picture right here, but so I have this outer line right here. Now I'm gonna do this inner one here. So if you notice here at the top is very thin, it's very close. They're both very close together. And here it gets thicker and then thin again. So that's what we're gonna draw. So here on the side, it's very close to that first line. It gets thicker. And then thin again. to the point where it actually touches the line I had already. Make sure your edges here are not so pointy, they're very round. And so let's follow along this edge. So we drew this one right here. It's not that the border stops there, but it's just that the highlight stops there, and then here a shadow starts. And if you see, this highlight actually stops past my cup. I have it too far on, or too short on the left, so I'm just gonna make it longer here. So like I said, the more you look at the drawing, the more details you start to see, and then you can catch small details like that and change it on your drawing. And so here's my highlight, but my shadow starts all the way here. So over here, I'm gonna start another line here. And then it gets very dark, it's really hard to see. That's okay, we'll just continue the line here. Remember to erase the lines you don't need so you don't get confused later on. It's now looking like a cup. We'll add more details. So we have a nice outline, and the next class we'll do the rest, so shading and highlights. That's the fun part. This is whenever I draw, this is what takes the longest, just the outline, because if your proportions are not correct, the drawing will look off. Maybe let's draw the spoon here. So just maybe about the spoon starts maybe about a third, one third from the edge of the cup. So that means I take the distance from the spoon to the cup here, the edge of the cup. I can fit it 3 times inside my cup. So 1/3 should be around here. So this was where my spoon starts. And this line is just halfway between my ear and the plate, just about here. And check the angle. Like this. And I'm back to drawing lots of lines so I get a nice shape. And then once I'm happy with the shape, I'll just erase a few of the lines and make a more simple line. And now the shadow as well. I'm happy with my spoon, so I'll just draw, I'll make a simpler line right here. And we erase what we don't need. We check the shapes. Maybe this is too curved. It's a little bit flat. Or a straight line, I mean. So that's the, like I would call it like a 3D rendering of my cup. So I'm just gonna start drawing a few lines. So next class, once we do the shadows, we know where they stop and what are their shapes. So for example, here we see a big shadow, black shadow. So I'm just gonna draw that indication. So next class, I know that that's a shadow right there and that's the shape. And there's also the reflection of the plate. And this triangle here is very dark. I'm gonna draw that. There's also, what I'll do is I'll just in a bit share my screen so you can take a better picture without the reflections on the screen. So you'll keep that picture for next class and it'll be easier to find which, or yeah, to find the shapes of the shadows and highlights. Okay, so take a step back and look at the entire picture, not just at a very specific spot. See if it makes sense to your eyes. If the shapes and proportions are good. I'm just gonna draw the line for the table at the back. And this is black, but there's a shadow right here. We're gonna draw that line. And I'll just give you one more minute to finish the outline. Then I'll share the picture on the screen so you can take a good picture. for us to do or to finish the drawing next class. Okay, so I'm just gonna pause the camera for 2 seconds. I don't know if it's gonna pause itself. I'm just gonna quickly find the picture here and share it on the screen so you can take a picture without all the reflections. Okay, May, are you able to give me permission to share the screen? Thank you. Okay, okay, so let me show you the picture. Sorry, there we go. I think that should look better for you to take a picture. So I'll wait for you to take a good picture. And yeah, it's a lot. So for this drawing, it's a lot of detail in the shadows and highlights. So that's why you really need a good picture so you can really see where they are. With charcoal. With pencil, you can also start with the dark area. So it doesn't matter which one you're using. Let's start with this very black shadow over here. And it's just pure black. Actually, if you're using charcoal, before you get started, it's a good idea to go over the drawing with your eraser, just to remove any extra graphite you have. So I'll show you. I'm just gonna get my eraser. Sometimes when you have when you have pencil and you go over it with your charcoal, it doesn't stick to the paper. So just go over with your eraser very gently so that you can still see the entire outline. So first step, just go over your drawing to remove any excess. Okay, and then we're gonna pick a very dark area and we're gonna completely shade that color here. So I'm gonna pick this shadow that is under. And if you have charcoal, I'm starting with the soft, and I'll tell you why in just 1 second. If you have your paper or your drawing standing up like this, it's easier if you put it on a table. I have to because of the camera, but with charcoal, it's better on a table. So all this little dust doesn't fall off. And I'm just gonna completely cover this area. You see all this dust here at the bottom. So it's easier if it's flat. Your sheet is flat.
So
Yeah.
if they don't have the charcoal yet, they can use what would be the equivalent number? Maybe the pencil number 6 or something.
Oh, yes. 4 or higher, 4B or higher, or just a very dark one.
你哋有嗰啲鉛筆成套嗰啲咧，你用4號、5號、6號都得。加法。
Perfect.
因为我的网络不好，我把视频关了。
不用紧，老师讲，如果你没有那个 charcoal， 你可以用你的铅笔，不过你要用4号、5号还是或者是6号的铅笔，比较深一点的铅笔。
It's not perfect, but at this point, I just want a little bit of charcoal in there. I'm just gonna use this space here to do a little bit of pencil. So with pencil, make sure you put a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure here. This is the pencil. So I'm just gonna first show you how to do the drawing with charcoal, and so step by step. So I finish this step and then I show you how to use it and how to finish it in pencil. And then I'll just alternate 1 and 1. So with charcoal, if you have charcoal, now you're gonna take a piece of paper towel and roll it like this, or if you have one of the brushes that you use specifically for charcoal, use that one. If you don't have a brush just for charcoal, use this or a Q-tip. So I'm gonna do it really fast so you can see what I want to get to, and then after I'll show you in pencil. So with the brush, I just pick this extra dust that I have here, and I look at where a medium shade is. So we're gonna do the plate first. So this is not super dark, but it's still a shadow. So I'm just gonna paint over it. So as I run out of the charcoal on my brush, I pick up a little bit more. And I'm always looking at my picture more than at my drawing. As I go to the left, it's a little bit lighter. So anytime you load your brush with charcoal, the first thing you touch is the darkest area, because maybe it's too much. And then you go over to the lighter areas. So I'll finish this in charcoal in just a little bit, but you get the idea. If you're doing pencil, I'm just gonna quickly draw it over here. This is our shadow. This is the plate. So you wanna have the shadow very, very dark. And then the plate, you do a medium color. So instead of using the brush here, you continue to use your pencil, but with a medium pressure, I guess. And as you go to the left, it's the pressure on your pencil is even lighter. As I go back to the right, a little bit more pressure. You can also do circles to make it more even as you're shading the area. And you can also take a piece of paper towel after you're happy with the shade and just blend it a little bit. So it'll look a little bit smoother. If you do that, you see how now everything looks very close together. So you want to go back to the darkest areas and just put more layers. So I'm not putting a lot of pressure here. I'm just adding more layers with the same amount of pressure on my pencil here. So we are doing the same area. So this right here. And so this area right here is also dark. And as we continue to do the rest of the drawing, you'll see that this will look very light, and we may have to go even or add more layers to make it darker here. But what I want you to do is really take a close look at your reference picture and try to notice the difference between the lights and the shadows, but also there are multiple shades in the shadow. So with the pencil, you're just doing it directly over the area, not using the brush really. You just add very light layers until you get to the point or to the darkness that you want, to the point where it's dark enough. So I am going to do first a very basic area for the shadows, and then we're gonna add more layers where the shadows are darker. And you do this also with pencil. Just so if I'm doing this shadow, just do a light layer like this over here. And then after, if we look at one area is even darker, same amount of pressure on your pencil, but because now this is a second, maybe a third layer, it'll start to build up and look darker. If you run out of charcoal to grab here with your brush, that's fine. We can just keep adding here. And that's why I like using the soft one, because there's more kind of powder to grab from compared to the other ones. What you can also do is have another piece of paper. I'm just gonna grab a different one so I can put that piece of paper flat. So I have this extra piece of paper, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of charcoal here. And this is where I pick it up from with my brush. If you're using pencil, you do not need to use the brush. Just look at the picture, see where the mid-tones are and where the darkest areas are, and you just shade it in. And you just put more layers. Where it looks darker. Try not to touch the drawing with your fingers, because the oils on our skin will make it very hard to erase if we need to erase. And really look at the reference picture. I know it's hard here, but I'm just gonna try to zoom in here. So if you see here, so there's a shadow right here, but there is a light reflection here. So don't forget to make this area a little bit lighter. And then there's a very dark shape right here. There's also light, a bit darker here, light here, dark here. I know it sounds confusing, but once you start doing it on your drawing, it'll be a lot easier than what it sounds. So for now, we can just do a medium shading here, a mid-tone, not too dark. Also look that there's a little bit of a reflection here that's lighter. And this is very light. this area that is very dark, you can just draw it. And so if you're using pencil, just see how dark it is. The darkest it looks, more pressure on your pencil, or you can use little pressure, but just add more and more layers. So we'll do a very I guess we will this first layer is just a mid-tone, just to see the shapes. The next step will be getting the darker values darker here, and the third step will be erasing where my highlights are. It's also important not to assume that, for example, this shadow right here, if you're not looking at your picture, you're gonna color the entire area. But notice that there it is like a little triangle here, because the base of the plate here is lighter. So you wanna copy exactly what you see. You don't wanna imagine shadows. So things are looking a bit flat, but this is just for us to know where the darkest or where the shadows would be. And I'm just gonna finish this first step, and then I'll give you a few minutes just to catch up. So with the pencil, for example, I'm just gonna try to draw this section right here. So I have my oval shape here. So you see that there is a white area here, and then my shadow starts. So if this is the line, my top line, I leave a space, the white area, and I start coloring from that second line at the top. So that's my first layer. And then I do an extra layer at the top where it is darker. And as I go down, I put less and less pressure on my pencil. As I go up, just a tiny bit more pressure. So you get that gradient. And after you're happy, you can take a little bit of a piece of paper towel and just blend it a little bit. But be careful not, so if I'm drawing this way, I blend the same way, because if I blend the opposite direction, if I blend up and down, then the gradient is going to look the same. It's going to look dark. So you don't want to erase that. So I was just showing you how to do this section right here. I'm just going to do it with charcoal now. I'm just going to draw that little line, the inside edge. So if I ran out of charcoal, I just keep putting it on my piece of paper, my separate piece of paper here on the same spot. This is where I grab it from, where I load my brush. So if you're using pencil for this mid-tones right here, you can use maybe a B, an HB or B. For the darkest areas, you can use a 4B or higher. And for the very light areas, you can use a pencil H. And don't forget to try to avoid touching the paper with your hands. And don't worry too much about these white things, because we're just gonna use our eraser to show that here. Yes, and try to think it's like this is like sculpting a 3D shape. So for example, here, I want to show that is behind my cup, this part of the plate right here. So I want to make that dark, but then the cup is lighter. If you find that one area is too dark, you can just go over it very lightly with your brush, your eraser, sorry. You don't want to erase it completely. Just very, very lightly with your brush. So I'm gonna start doing or going over the darkest spots here. So if you notice, this area right here is dark. This line right here is dark. This is dark. The edge here. So let's do that. So first is here at the back of the ear for the cup. It's dark. At the back or in between here is dark. If you notice here, this is the ear of the cup. So we can see through. So the rest of the cup here is dark, but this area right here is light. That is the reflection. And those are the little details that will really make a difference at the end. So don't forget that light spot right there. And so inside of the ear here, this line is light, but in between here is a mid-tone. So if you need to show the light area, you can take the edge of your eraser and use it as a pencil. So you see this line I just did with my eraser? Is this one right here. Don't skip these sections or these little details because I think they're the most important ones. If you're using a pencil and then if you're using pencil and then you erase a little bit, take your paper towel and just go over it to blend it a little bit again. So it's more of a natural reflection. So I'm just going over the darkest areas with more charcoal. If you're using pencil, just use a light pressure and add more layers. Wherever you see gets darker, just add more. So I'm gonna do the spoon with the same idea, and then I'll give you a few minutes just to catch up here. So the shadow of the spoon here is very dark. It's pure black. So I take a little bit of charcoal and start on the darkest area. Initially, things really blend together because there are no highlights. But once we add the highlights, you will really see the difference. Really take a look at the shape and of the shadows here. It's not all the same. So there's a little shadow, very dark shadow right here, and there's a triangle reflection here. And this line shows the edge of the spoon. I'm gonna keep drawing the shadow that's here. Just behind the spoon is very, very dark. So now I take, you can use this, just the edge to really draw the edge of the spoon right here. So I'm gonna bring the drawing closer so you can see the spoon. It's not done yet, but basically for the shadows, this is the top of the spoon, the top left corner, there's a shadow that is inside the spoon, and then the top right bottom, there's like a triangle there with a shadow, and with your eraser, you're just gonna draw the edge like this, and a little bit of a highlight right there. It really sounds a lot harder than what it actually is once you really take a look at the picture. And if you are using charcoal, don't be afraid to go over it with your brush. I don't have much on my much charcoal on my brush right now, but you can go over it like this. So what you want is the background not to be completely white, or at least around the picture. because if you have a little bit of a grayish color around the picture, once we do the highlights with the eraser, they're gonna look a lot better. If you're using pencil, you can also do that, but be careful not to blend everything together. So maybe just around the edge, if you grab a little bit of graphite from the pencil and just go around like this with your paper towel, very light. So the idea, it doesn't show as much because my paper is gray, but what I want you to do is not to have any white, pure white around or on the drawing, or around the cup. Maybe if this is white, that's fine, but just around like this, a very soft edge like this. Once we do the highlights, they're really gonna pop. So we're gonna do one more layer of dark shadows. Oh, sorry, I'm not done here with the plate. So this line comes here and the bottom line becomes the top line here, top shadow. So for this area right here, I just drew it because it's very dark. So with my charcoal or with your pencil, just draw these lines right here at the edge of the plate and then blend them a little bit. And this line here becomes the outer edge right here. And I'm gonna indicate the depth here. Now that I had my first layer of shadows, I'm now just going back over to darker ones and showing a little bit more of the shape and just adding more layers to indicate that they're actually darker. If yours are already dark enough, perfect. No need to fix them. So this one is darker. Because it's very dark, I'm just using my charcoal with very light pressure And it's better to do circles so they blend a little bit better. So I know some areas are blending together, like the cup and the plate here. You can't really tell where the cup ends, but if you look at the picture, this is white. So we're gonna use our highlights to indicate that area. Now I blend. Sometimes even with the brush, because it's so soft, it's not blending as much as I need to. So sometimes with charcoal, I still use the paper towel or a Q-tip when I need to blend a little bit more. And circles as well if you need to blend it. So at this point, the entire area is just a start. That's why I can do circles. The top here at the bottom is lighter, so I just go left, right, left, right. And here is very light, but I'll just indicate a little bit of a shadow. The ear, I think the ear of the cup will be the hardest area. So I'm gonna finish the edge here and then we can do the ear together. So if you notice here, there is a white line here, then it ends here. A dark line starts here and it goes up all the way just below the ear. And here they become 3 different lines. So the ear, so far I have my shape here. Behind at the bottom, it's lighter, so I'm just gonna erase a little bit here so I can see the actual shape. I'm just gonna zoom in here. So I have my dark line here. Then I have a light one right here. So I'm just gonna erase that or make it lighter here. And I want to show this line again because it got blended. Just gonna wait a few seconds. So if you see that that little white line makes a huge difference, don't forget to draw it with your eraser. So I have my triangle, my dark area right here, then just a little bit of a mid-tone, I guess. And after the mid-tone, on the inner edge right here, I just took my eraser and drew it. Because that really shows, or the eye really picks that up, and then it really shows where it stops. I'm just gonna keep going with my eraser to erase where it's very light. So at the top, and just the dot on my left. I think this is the hardest part, but if you do it slowly and if you keep looking back at the reference picture, you'll eventually get there. So I just did a little dark area, which is this. So after my white line stops here, this is dark. So that's what I did, light and then dark at the bottom. And just to the left of that dark area, I do another line right here, light line here, which is this circle right here. So I know that was a little bit hard, but just keep looking at the reference picture. I'll give you 1 more minute to do that section, and then we'll keep going. So now we're gonna do the highlights. So you'll take your eraser. When you do this section, they don't have to be completely white. For example, if we do this highlight right here, is not, or sorry, if we do this highlight right here, is not pure white. What is pure white is this little side. So I'm gonna be erasing an area here, but if you end up with a completely pure white section, maybe you need to add a little bit of a layer with your pencil again. So we want to end up with a light gray, very light gray, but on the areas that are completely white, it's a very then on highlights, that's okay, they are completely white. If you have the charcoal, the white pencil, we're gonna go over that. So I know on the camera it's hard to pick up, but just follow this area right here. So you can grab this, or if you have one of these as well, just make it into a pointy end. Sorry, I'm just gonna clean it first. Okay, so I'm just gonna draw with my eraser the light areas. So right here, there's a little line right there that we mentioned earlier. There's a highlight right here at the back and over here at the bottom. This is very light. This white line over here for the edge, I'm gonna draw that. Sorry, that's a little bit high. And at the bottom, it's a little bit darker, but I'll still do it with very light pressure. The edge, very edge of my spoon right here. And inside a tiny highlight right there. So really, wherever you see that it needs to be lighter, let's do the plate, the reflection of the plate right here. So try to follow the shape. And I'm gonna draw the edge of the cup with my eraser right here. There is a very light, almost pure white area or highlight. Not the top here. So if you notice, if I put a lot more pressure on my eraser, it gets lighter. If I just put a little bit, it just gives me that light brown, light gray that I want. And because we have already blended a little bit of gray here, this is why I don't want the background on your page to be completely white. That's why we blended it a little bit like this, because this way you can grab your eraser and just draw the edge of the cup with your eraser, and we will be able to see the contrast from the background. If you think you erase it too much, you can just grab your paper towel or your brush and go over it to make sure it's that grayish area, not pure white yet. This edge right here is pure white. And really, the rest of the drawing is just going back and forth between getting your shade, your darks darker, your lighter. So I will do one more layer for the shadows to be a little bit darker, whatever needs to be darker again. And then we'll go with the highlights and we'll see if that's done or if we need to keep going. So again, I'm just redoing. So you see that as you blend your darks end up just a little bit lighter. We have to go back and forth. And if you're using pencil, just keep going back and forth, draw, and then erase, and then you keep drawing the darkest areas again. Don't be afraid to have a strong transition. So for example, here, don't be afraid to really show a light area there, because we tend to color the entire object with one, I guess, one shade. So objects in reality reflect the light. we're gonna take our eraser and do a little bit of a highlight here at the corner of the cup. And redo the ones we already had done for the ear. And now you can take your time, keep working on it, but I'm gonna get started on the white. So again, if you do not have a white charcoal, just use your eraser. Just make sure it's clean and that whatever you erase, you completely erase until you can see the white of your sheet for the following highlights. So again, whatever I do with this pencil, you take your eraser and completely erase. Even if you have the pencil, it's important to erase first, just so it picks up better or it stays on the page and it doesn't get muddy. So we're gonna completely erase first. And then if you don't have this, then you don't need to do anything. But if you happen to have the white charcoal, we're gonna paint over it. But just make sure you erase before you do that. So we're gonna do the very bright highlights. So right here, right here. You can wait for me to do them first, so you know where you're putting the light areas. So the white. So if you don't have a white charcoal, that's fine. Just make sure you completely erase that area of the paper so it's completely white. And then if it's too similar to the, so for example here, if you erase this area and it looks the same as this color for the line, take your brush or your paper towel and go over the line so that it is a little bit darker and the white really pops out. And then we're just gonna add a few more highlights here. Now I'm not erasing because I'm not putting as much white. I'm just adding tiny sections of light. doesn't matter if it's not as bright. If you're using pencil, always erase before you put charcoal. You can keep working on your highlights. This last step is optional. I'm gonna do the background a little bit, just so the picture pops out a little bit, but you don't have to. So I'm just gonna do the line for the table. Again, you do not need to do this. Or maybe you can do just around the cup, not the entire page. So it's easier, I just kind of scribble a little bit and then take my paper, even with pencil. And the background, again, you don't want to put too much detail on it. I guess I didn't finish my spoon, but that's okay, that's where the drawing or my picture ends. I guess I can cut my picture over here and here. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of dark background over here. Like I said, this is optional. You do not need to do this area. It's just a few layers. And I think we are done. You can always keep going when it feels like forever. You can always keep going back and forth between shadows and highlights. Again, the background is optional, you don't need to, but you see that if you have a darker background, the cup really pops out right like this. You can really see the highlights. But the background do very light layers, so you can blend them. And make sure that when you are close to the cup, you don't go over the cup. You want to stay back here. I think that once I'm done with the drawing, I will just cut it over here because just the picture ends there and I don't have the rest of the spoon drawn. So you can also cut it. So this same drawing, I could have done it with pencil. Just wanted to, I don't think I've done an entire drawing with just pencil before in this class. So, and I know some of you have charcoal, and charcoal is very, very fun. You can play with it. But you can also do the same things with pencil as well. So it's really a matter of preference. So you see that as I made the background darker, I can really see that this shadow right here needs to be darker.
Joanna,
Yeah.
is it charcoal only one color?
Charcoal, well, it comes in, usually this one comes in 3 different settings, I guess. So there's a soft, medium, and a hard one. For this drawing, I used just the soft because soft, when you draw, there's more dust, I guess, coming off, and the dust is what I use to blend. With the darker, it's just harder to blend like this. Usually when you buy the set, it comes in 3 those three, medium, soft, that brand. But there's also, I don't know if you have seen the, let me see if I have any left. I don't think I have any, but charcoal comes in different presentations. Sometimes it's not the pencil like this, is just the charcoal. So whenever you draw with that one, your hands get dirty, but it's the same.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. So mainly only three. This is soft and hard and dust.
Sorry? Yeah,
So
soft.
only soft and hard, medium and dust. Oh, okay.
Yes, so soft is, so the only difference is how much you can blend it.
Oh,
So if I were to do the like more detail that I do not want it to get blended after, I
mm,
would use the hard one.
oh, okay.
Yes, but because I like to use charcoal as if I were painting with just regular paint with my brush, I usually just stick with soft.
Oh, but charcoal, you don't like you don't need using a pencil sharpener. You just peel it off.
Correct, because this one right here, you just
Oh,
pull
okay.
this down,
Yeah.
and then open this up, sorry.
Oh,
So as you remove this, more of the charcoal of the tip will show. So you don't need a sharpener. Sometimes I do use a sharpener just to get my tip to be more pointy.
oh, okay.
So I just use a regular sharpener to have a really, really pointed tip and do the very small detail.
Okay.
But in general, you don't need a sharpener. Some people or some artists use a blade just to cut it like that
Oh,
to
okay.
get a pointy end. I don't usually do that.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah.
So once you are happy, you can just sign it. So to sign, you can use white or this one. Let me see if I have the hard one right here. There's also this kind of charcoal pencils. I don't know if it's this one that I think this is just because it is extra hard. It's very hard for me to draw with this one. So that's why I prefer these. But they come in, so you see how the pens, the regular graphite pencil come in HB, H or Bs. Charcoal usually comes in soft, medium, hard, or extra hard. This is extra hard, so I'm gonna try to sign with this one. You will see that it doesn't really blend much. So I'll just sign over here maybe. It's like almost a regular pencil. But with the extra hard, if I want to erase, it's really hard. Or if I want to go over it with the white charcoal, it's also really hard. So I stick to soft usually. Do you have any questions?
The one that we ordered from the shop is the soft pencil, the soft black charcoal, and it's the regular pencil, not the peel away one.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. So perfect. Yeah. So the soft is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easier. That is easier because sometimes these are really hard to remove. Sometimes they get stuck together and you end up not getting a point. Yeah. So charcoal is a lot of fun. You can, I like both pencil and charcoal. And with charcoal, the only thing is that it is not shiny. So your drawing the dark will just look very dark. Let me see if I have a pencil drawing that I can I don't know if, I think we've done a horse in the past, or this rose right here. So you see it's very shiny. Versus the charcoal, this is charcoal. This is from one of our classes. I think last year maybe. Oh yeah, 20. So yeah, so charcoal pencil ends up being really shiny and charcoal is not. So that's another difference. Also for just preference. So make sure that if you're happy with your drawing, that you sign and date it, and then you can show us